Uh, yeah, we'll enjoy. All right. All right. So first, I'm Mike Davey. I'm VP Product at Raptor Maps, and I'll tell you a bit about both my background and Raptor Maps. But just about me, the human. I'm based in the Durham, North Carolina area after growing up in New England and starting my career in New York City. So I've been in North Carolina for the last 6 years or so. So today, what we're going to cover, I'm going to just share a bit about how I got here, and then talk to you about the day-to-day on my team for me and for the members of my team, and then give y'all some tips on positioning yourself as a product manager in climate tech, and then we'll go into an extensive Q&A. So a bit about me, how I got here. The point of this slide is that it is a winding road, or it was for me. I didn't see when I was in school necessarily a straight line to working in climate and being able to make student loan payments. So that was a little over a decade ago. So things have changed, which is great for climate and great for climate tech. But I built a sort of a major at my college, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. That was a business and product design dual major with a focus on sustainability. So tried to sort of been in this mindset for a while. Had an internship at PepsiCo where I was doing packaging innovation, learned a ton about plastic and all kinds of other industrial processes. And saw some interesting things and learned a lot about being a professional there. But then when I graduated, I joined S&P Global, which is a financial research platform. It was my first role as a product manager and designer, and was in New York working on a purely digital product. That was really exciting, working across web and mobile platforms. And this was a time when the iPad was still pretty new. From there, I went to Blackstone, which is a large alternative asset manager, where I worked on internal products for investor relations, investor portals for analysis and reporting, as well as data management tools. From there, then went to my first startup, Mark 43, which is a law enforcement public safety platform. And I was there as the first product manager and the sixth employee, and ended up leaving after around 120 people. And that company is doing really well today. I'm really excited for them. Then I took a quick detour into ad tech, small company here in the Durham, North Carolina area called AdWorks. Then I was this is around when COVID hit. I was thinking about moving back up to New England, and I subscribed to not a podcast, a newsletter that's the Main Startups Insider. And there, on one of those newsletters, I found the announcement for Raptor Maps Series A. And that is sort of the rest is history. I'll talk a bit about how to find your role in climate and different things to look for. And I'll dig back into what my process was for evaluating Raptor Maps later on. So Raptor Maps, our sort of new product tagline is better data and smarter workflows to maximize power production, minimize remediation, and time to remediation, and empower your workforce. So we are a platform, basically a data platform in the solar industry, focused on commercial and utility scale solar. We provide essentially asset health analytics that draw from a number of different sources, and I'll dig into that some more. But really interesting company arc. The founders, Eddie and Nikhil, started out basically building drones and trying to work on climate, doing inspections of things like agriculture, looking at runoff, things like that, and then eventually pivoted into solar. And we are where we are today, which is super exciting. If you want to hear more about that, there are some great podcasts where Eddie and Nikhil have been interviewed, and so you can dig deeper. So where are we in the market? Our software has been deployed across many countries, and we've analyzed a ton of solar. So really excited about the impact that Raptor Maps is able to make on the clean energy economy and the process for electrification. So what are some of the problem spaces that Raptor Maps hits on? One thing I talk about a lot is the usability and accessibility of solar data. In many industries, you might walk in and say, wow, there's just no data to wrap your hands around. That's not the case in energy at large. There's a ton of data everywhere, but it might not be very accessible, and it also might not be very usable. So one of the themes that I try to pull through a lot of our product initiatives is making sure that what we're building is accessible and usable. So some of the problem spaces around here are a fragmented data landscape. You have a ton of different systems that are used for different things that don't integrate very well together necessarily. Then you have Excel in between doing Excel things. Industry is scaling super, super fast. There are supply chain considerations, everything from COVID to different regulation and relationships between nations. There are evolving national and global policies, which includes things like IRA, or the IRA as it's called. And technology keeps changing. There are changes in drone technology, robotics, software, and then through it all, there are manual processes holding everything together. And one of those manual processes that I'm calling out here is warranty claims. When you want to file a warranty claim for solar equipment, it's still largely manual, and that's one of the areas that we're working to add some automation and polish to. So what's our solution? We basically take a ground truth asset health data and create a holistic view of how your solar assets are performing, both at the individual, even piece of equipment level, like a single solar module or solar panel, all the way up to a portfolio. And how do we do that? Well, we combine data from drones, asset performance data, so how many watts are being produced, kilowatts, kilowatt hours, et cetera. What type of maintenance is being done on a site? Are there warranty claims being filed for equipment? Even are there free-form notes being taken in the field? And then structuring that data to present it to stakeholders in a really meaningful way. We also do industry benchmarking. We put out a global report every year that shows trends in DC health across the globe. And also, I think something that is under talked about, I guess, or underappreciated is we have a modern API. That's actually something that is table stakes in most tech companies, but not something that I see across the board in our space. So my day-to-day, it might look very familiar, especially in a remote first environment. Do a lot of typing, Slack, email, Miro boards, presenting. And the thing that's different for me is that I get to look out a place at a solar farm from time to time through discovery activities. So part of the theme here is that being a PM in climate is not necessarily so different from being a PM in other industries. So what does the day-to-day look like here? I sort of drew this concentric circle thing to help illustrate it, but the way our org is today, you've got me, some senior product managers and some junior product managers, and basically you've got like the nesting of scope. So I've got product vision and strategy that I'm working on, and also things like budget and hiring plans and business development work, people management. I also manage the design team, so all of product and design report to me. And then the product managers, they own a specific opportunity space or spaces, depending on how senior they are, and own the roadmap, own doing continuous discovery, go to market, backlog grooming, being smart about metrics, everything there. And then more junior PMs live sort of in the child opportunity space, where you maybe are not solving as big of a business problem or owning as big of a scope, but you're still doing all the same things and building that muscle to help you grow. And the other thing too is we're sort of just like best practice in the industry, in my opinion, is no different at my team. We're looking to always find, what are the best methodologies we can be using? How can we evolve and change our team to best meet customer needs and as we grow? Because I think this is something that could be part of a startup talk, but as your company grows, as your business grows, the variables are always changing beneath your feet. and you need to be clear-eyed about what's working and what's not. So let's talk about positioning yourself as a PM in climate. So for me, and what I look for in my team is primarily, especially because we are still a small yet growing team, I look for skills fit for the role. Not looking for a specific resume, really looking at, we have a need, we need to fill that need, and looking to evaluate a candidate to see how well can they contribute as quickly as possible to driving our company forward. In terms of like culture, I really look for humility and willingness to collaborate and get your hands dirty. Eagerness to get with customers, be out in the field, to throw on a hard hat and go out to a solar farm and watch your step for snakes is definitely much appreciated. But also, you could be riding next to an asset manager looking at spreadsheets all day, doing discovery. So something for everybody there. Also look for mission alignment and a growth mindset. So our mission is to help scale the solar industry and do that to impact climate change. And then also a growth mindset. We're a growth company, and we are looking to grow ourselves and push our own personal and professional development, but we're also looking to grow the company and grow the products, whether that means by revenue or engagement or whatever your metric is. We're always thinking about growth. So in terms of the interview process, we have a very show and tell approach. So there are phone screens that we do in the interview process. But then we also have sort of a skills challenge and virtual onsite that we like to run candidates through. That's, I think, pretty lightweight, but also quite valuable in illustrating to a candidate what it's like to work with us, and also helping us understand where someone's at in terms of their development of their skills. All righty. Next up, so this really gets into how to position yourself in climate, is how can you start contributing? So if you're not working for a climate company or a climate tech company or in energy, I think the ways you can work on that and get yourself in a good spot to tell a story to a hiring manager is just build something. I think that is one of the best ways to, especially when positioning yourself to join a startup, is to just show scrappiness and that you're willing to roll up your sleeves. Another way to do it is creating content. Peter, who I've got a screenshot of here, is a product manager on my team, and he has been doing talks for a while, and he has a background in corporate law, and he sort of built his own product niche within law, of building digital products and building out product organizations. And within that, he started developing sort of frameworks for doing green product management. So you can definitely check out his webinars on climate positive product management, regardless of what industry you're in. But you can think about things like, what's the default load state for a map feature? Is it satellite, or is it like a dark mode or a light mode? Those have different implications for server consumption and therefore energy consumption. So all those little things can add up and help make you a climate PM, even if you're working at anywhere. So other things you can do are volunteer. So Fadi and Chi volunteering at Work on Climate. Another PM on my team volunteers for the San Diego 350 Climate Action Group. Just hired an intern that is part of the Duke University Energy Club. So really anything you can do to, these are great things to do anyway. Even if you have a job that's not at a climate tech company, I think that you can be a PM in climate through what you do in your spare time as well. Next would be staying curious and being proactive and building your subject matter awareness. So if you believe you're interested in electrification of the grid, or EVs, or carbon credits, just learn as much as you can about those subjects through just articles, YouTube videos, and yeah, that way when you go into an interview process, even if you've got no relevant experience, so to speak, you can speak the language. And it'll probably vary when you get inside a company, but understanding the problem space is a huge part of being a PM. So that can give you a great head start. So I also want to just shout out the Work on Climate PM Climate Guide that is linked in the roles PM Slack channel. So give that a read. There's some other great stuff in there. So this is a fun slide. This is how to choose your climate tech startup to work at. So for me, I mentioned that I found Raptor Maps through a newsletter that I was following because I was thinking about relocating back to New England, and thought, man, this seems cool. And I looked at, part of what I did there was I was looking for new roles. Wasn't 100% focused on climate tech startups, full transparency there. But opportunistically found this, and my process for evaluating companies that I find interesting is to look at what is in the news about them, right? Like, okay, Raptor Maps just closed a Series A. This is again late 2020. And then what are they hiring for? So what are they, and then saying, okay, they're trying to hire a product manager. That's great. Are they hiring sales? Are they hiring marketing? That can tell you about what types of growth motions a company is investing in. And you can sort of draw hypotheses and assumptions about the company that you can then ask intelligent questions to validate. Talk about doing, good discovery in a phone interview, even with a hiring manager. So I chose Raptor Maps because I was excited about the intersection between being a product manager and working in a high technology, climate focused company. I really liked the background in drones. I liked that the founders are from MIT and had engineering background. And I also just really, really enjoyed when I met the team. So I also had the opportunity to be the first PM. And then, that opened the door for me to be the VP of product and grow the org. Now, you may be somebody who doesn't want to build an org. You might want to be an IC. So that would change what you're looking for. So how to find your fit, know your own strengths and the areas that you want to grow. So I know that it's a really tough job market, and I've got some friends that are in the job market and apply to hundreds of jobs, and it can be tough to be picky. But I think if you're aligning on climate tech, I think really something that can help you even just in the interview process is knowing where your strengths are and how you can contribute to the company, and then where you need to grow. Because that's something that as a hiring manager, I always want to hear people having a clear understanding of is, where do you want to be enabled to grow and learn in your next role? We're not asking, what are your strengths and weaknesses, right? It's like, what are your strengths? And then where do you want to continue learning and developing? So know what you're looking for and go deep. I mentioned sort of like industry scope. So if you really don't care, you just want to be in any climate tech startup, sure, do the top of funnel approach. But if you know that you really want to be in solar, try to learn as much as you can about solar. And then also your role at a company. So I mentioned I was the first product manager. I was excited about building out an org, helping the company define the product at an early stage. And so that is why Raptor Maps was a great fit for me. In terms of looking for roles that fit, so based on those criteria, other factors to consider when weighing which companies to apply to, or which companies to take an offer from. Look at their funding stage, look at industry regulatory like headwinds and tailwinds. So for example, IRA, or the IRA, is a massive tailwind for clean energy. There's no way around it. So that is really great. And solar was already exploding before Biden passed that. So that's a great example of tailwinds. Headwinds might be, there's still a lot of stigma around like nuclear, or if you're looking at really modern energy solutions like fusion. Question might be like, wow, like that might have a really long like time horizon. It might be in more of a research phase. So that might be considered a headwind, because if you're trying to generate revenue, that might be a challenge if your time to market is longer. Look at headcount of the company. How mature is the product? So is this a product that's been in the market for a while and is scaling, or is it a company that's still trying to find product market fit, or it's just a couple of folks that are starting something out and looking for a founding, co-founder. And I mentioned looking at other open roles at the company, so that can just give you a rough idea of the position. And then to find great roles, I think Work on Climate's awesome. Climate Draft, TerraDo, Climate Base are great climate focused job sites and communities. But also look at investors that are active in the climate space. So Buoyant Ventures, MKB, Blue Bear Capital, and Powerhouse are all some investors that are active in that space, or even exclusively focused on the space. So they usually will have jobs pages, and so you can just go and peruse those and find companies that maybe have not posted proactively on Climate Base or TerraDo or Climate Draft. So those investors are looking to help their portfolio companies fill roles. All right, so lastly on that note, open roles at Raptor Maps. I know this is a product focused talk, but if you know anyone who's interested, based on what I've told you today, we're hiring a senior software engineer, a data science intern, an executive assistant, and an account director for enterprise sales. All of these roles are super important to the company and are all remote first. So definitely encourage folks to apply and check out our careers page. So with that, I'll stop screen sharing. We can open to Q&A.
We can stop recording so that we can give people some chance to ask their questions. But this was a really, really